It is 2026. A family living in a Texas suburb has played by the rules. They absorbed the crushing inflation of the past few years. They paid their skyrocketing property taxes. Every month, without fail, they paid their primary mortgage. Yet on a random Tuesday morning, the county sheriff arrives with an eviction notice. The Homeowners Association, the neighbors living right next door, executes this eviction, while the family's bank and the county tax assessor confirm that every mortgage and tax payment is current. A private neighborhood board, utilizing obscure state property laws, possesses the unilateral legal authority to seize a $500,000 asset over a fractional debt. A dispute regarding the color of a mailbox or a few months of missed neighborhood dues can legally trigger the total liquidation of a family's generational wealth. The neighborhood organization itself has become the primary financial threat to modern Texas homeownership. We need to discard the outdated concept of an HOA as a group of volunteer neighbors measuring grass height and organizing block parties. That model is largely obsolete. The modern HOA is a heavily consolidated, corporate-managed entity. Local boards have outsourced their daily operations to massive property management conglomerates. These corporations do not operate to foster community, they operate to generate yield. Their ultimate objective aligns perfectly with institutional investors operating in the real estate market. They are actively engineering a system designed to transition middle-class homeowners into permanent, high-yield renters. HOAs now act as a legally sanctioned enforcement cartel. They utilize specific mechanics within state property law to strip mine equity from working families and transfer those assets directly to Wall Street. To understand how this extraction is completely legal, we have to look at the mechanics of real estate debt. The foundational rule is lien priority. Generally, the first debt recorded against a property, usually the mortgage, gets the first right to any proceeds in a foreclosure. When you purchase a home in an HOA community, you sign a document establishing the covenants, conditions, and restrictions. Buried within the fine print of those documents is a statutory anomaly known as the HOA superlien. This legal text from the Fordham-Law Review outlines the preservation of HOA foreclosure powers under Texas law. Specific property codes elevate HOA assessments, granting them a super priority status that functionally overrides the primary mortgage. This animated diagram demonstrates the financial asymmetry at play. A massive primary mortgage block is instantly overridden by the fractional weight of an HOA superlien. The HOA can force the sale of the property at public auction for pennies to satisfy a minor debt. The moment the gavel falls at the courthouse steps, the homeowner's equity is completely wiped out. The asset is liquidated, the HOA recovers its dues, and the aggressive legal fees attached to the collection process are paid in full. The trillion-dollar banking industry holding the original 30-year mortgage is entirely bypassed. They receive notice of the foreclosure, but the localized process executes regardless of their multi-$100,000 claim. The superlien weaponizes a minor neighborhood infraction, granting the association a functional claim on a family's primary source of wealth. The spike in foreclosures leading into 2026 was triggered by a specific macroeconomic collision. The infrastructure of early 2000s subdivisions began to fail exactly as insurance premiums and maintenance costs skyrocketed due to inflation. Look at the sheer scale of these master-planned Texas communities. Faced with crushing financial burdens and complex maintenance schedules, local volunteer boards capitulated. They handed control of their neighborhoods over to massive corporate management companies. This transfer of power created an immediate shift in fiduciary priorities. Corporate managers optimize for revenue capture and fee generation. The health of the community is entirely secondary to the profitability of the management contract. To cover systemic shortfalls, these corporations drastically increased monthly dues. They squeezed households that were already struggling to manage rising property taxes and grocery bills. To enforce these new financial mandates, management companies deployed specialized law firms. Operating like foreclosure mills, these firms tack on thousands of dollars in administrative costs and attorney charges to the original minor debts. The neighborhood environment has been fully financialized. Residents are no longer treated as community members. They are structured as exploitable revenue streams. The corporate managers rely on automation to generate revenue. Drones and AI object detection software patrol streets. constantly scanning driveways and facades for anomalies. A software automatically issues bulk violations for microscopic infractions. A trash can left out for an extra hour or a patch of brown grass during a municipal drought instantly triggers a citation. This creates a compounding trap. A $50 fine immediately attracts automated late fees, processing charges, and legal stacking. Within weeks, the initial citation mutates into a $5,000 legal judgment. The Texas Property Code outlines protections like the Chapter 209 hearing, ostensibly giving homeowners a chance to dispute fines. In reality, due process is buried beneath layers of corporate bureaucracy and specialized legal defense that working families cannot afford to navigate. As this flowchart illustrates, the system is explicitly designed to engineer defaults. It catches financially strained families in an inescapable cycle, forcing them to choose between paying for groceries or paying a specialized collection attorney. Algorithmic enforcement creates the temporary lapse in payment required to activate the super lien. Algorithmic extortion manufactures the exact legal conditions necessary to seize the property. When a $500,000 home is forced to auction for pennies, who is waiting to buy it? The buyers are cash-rich institutional investors, private equity firms, and shadow corporations operating through layers of anonymous limited liability companies. In recent years, institutional investors have accounted for up to 28% of all home purchases in Texas, and as high as 52% in exceptionally high growth markets like Tarrant County. These firms utilize automated scraping software to track every single HOA foreclosure filing across the state in real time. They know exactly when a property is vulnerable and exactly when the auction will occur. Corporate representatives wait on the steps of buildings exactly like the Harris County Courthouse. They arrive with cashier's checks, ready to snipe distressed properties the moment the bidding opens. This chart tracks the direct result of this pipeline. Harris County alone saw a massive 45.36% year-over-year spike in foreclosure filings from 2024 to 2025. Compare the numbers on this graph. The institutional buyer acquires the home for a fraction of its market value. The family's rights are permanently extinguished, and the deed transfers directly into a corporate portfolio. Large-scale investors often use the voting blocks from their rental portfolios to control the HOA board, ensuring the association's enforcement policies serve the parent company's acquisition pipeline. The HOA foreclosure process operates as a highly efficient, legally sanctioned pipeline. It is designed to strip property out of the middle class and hand it directly to Wall Street. The aftermath for the evicted family is total devastation. Their life savings bound in home equity is erased, their credit is destroyed, and they are physically displaced from the community they bought into. Because they still need a place to live within the same school district, many of these displaced families end up renting the exact same floor plan on the exact same street from the very private equity firm that bought their stolen house at auction. State leadership, including Governor Greg Abbott, seen here, has occasionally called to rein in institutional homebuyers. Yet basic legislative attempts to simply track the scale of these corporate purchases have faced vetoes, while meaningful reform dies quietly in committee. The state legislature remains heavily influenced by real estate and property management lobbies. Consequently, the super lien loophole remains completely open, leaving citizens defenseless against predatory extraction. The foundational assumption of American property rights has been broken. Paying off a 30-year mortgage and holding a deed free and clear no longer guarantees ownership. In modern Texas, if you live in an HOA, you do not own your home. You are simply a tenant.